self-review, or of course if you're gonna do the self-review, of course if you're going to do the self-review, of course if you're going to do the self-review, you are get you depressed because there will be a mock also the only review center probably second, it is also the only review center probably in the whole Hey nurses, Nurse Terms here. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I will be talking all about Techno Intellect Review Center. So this video isn't just applicable for Filipino nurses who are residing here in Cagayan de Oro City, because I know that there are nurses out there who would fly to any part here in the Philippines just to be in a test review center. So stay tuned and watch till the end of the video, because this might just be the review center that you've been looking for. Okay, so Techno Intellect Review Center is actually the review center that I enrolled last year, which I hadn't have any regrets with my decision, and probably the best one that I've ever made in the year 2018. Why? Because first, it is the only review center here in Cagayan de Oro City that offers an intensive NCLEX review good for 20 days. Second, it is also the only review center probably in the whole Mindanao that consists of USRN lecturers or instructors who have been exposed in the US setting. Because let's face it, Filipino setting is totally far different from the US setting. So, of course, who else can actually teach us the basic NCLEX concepts other than those who are exposed in the US setting? So I'm going to give you a brief example. Let's talk about NGT. So NGT here in the Philippines is actually used for enteral feedings or medications. But in the US, it is attached to a continuous suction. So just by that, it would probably give you a little bit confusion. So if you're gonna base your knowledge from your experience here in the Philippines, it would probably lead you to the wrong option. But with the help of the USRNs who are really familiar with the US NCLEX concepts, then these kind of questions would be corrected and clarified. So just by that, you can really tell that this review center is credible enough and can really help you pass the NCLEX exam. And then the third one is that they are now offering another new kind of class, which is the Weekend Intensive Review class. So it's probably the same with the NCLEX Intensive Review. The only difference is that it happens in the weekends. So this is perfect for those nurses who are currently working, are having a hard time applying for a 1-month leave. Because as we all know, weekends off are have more possibility to get approved rather than those in a long period of time, like 1 month. Okay, so enough with a brief overview of the Techno Intellect Review. Let's move on to the top 3 questions. So first, why enroll in a review class when you can just do a self-review? I give you 3 facts. First, you are not intelligent. Second, you are a procrastinator. And third, you are just lazy. Well, I'm not really telling you that you are dumb. It's just that most nurses who are pursuing with NCLEX nowadays have graduated like 10 years back or 5 years back, and most of them haven't even practiced nursing for a long time. So with that, you can already gauge your capacity if you can really do it alone or you need assistance from a review center. So second, procrastination doesn't really work well with NCLEX because NCLEX takes a lot of practice, especially with question and answers, and a lot of reading, reviewing of all the concepts in nursing. In NCLEX based, of course. And then the third one is that if you are lazy. Well, I can totally relate with that because the lazy persons, they are just good with the first few days. You know, they are good in planning things, organizing their schedule, but they are only up to that. And they would end up catching up with their schedule that they made themselves, and keeping up with it is really the challenging part. I myself can relate it because even up to now, even after the lecture part of the NCLEX review, I'm still catching up with the schedule that I made. I'm even already 2 days late. Okay, so let's stop talking about yourself. Let's move on with the practical thing, which is the money matters. So let's face it, NCLEX is expensive. The CGF finesse itself costs $350. The bond application costs $150. The fingerprint costs $44. The Pearson view costs $200. The scheduling of the exam costs $150, and that doesn't even include yet the mailing of documents, would cost around 1,600 pesos per document mailed. And if you're not living in the Luzon area, because the NCLEX exam here in the Philippines can only be taken in Manila, that would need another budget for airplane tickets, accommodation, food, and transpo. So it's totally expensive, and I would rather pay a fortune for an NCLEX review rather than paying the same amount over and over because I failed. Not just once, but second time or third time. So in this area, you have to weigh things very carefully. You can really do it all alone through self-review, or you need a review center to help you. So the bottom line here is that the NCLEX Review Center will do the dirty work for you, but it doesn't also mean that the NCLEX Review Center itself is enough to let you pass the NCLEX. Because of course it needs an effort from you because it's you who will be taking the exam. The only part that the Review Center will help you is to guide you through the whole duration of NCLEX preparation. Let's start with the concepts. We all know that NCLEX is totally vague. So let's say you're going to do the self-review and you have a goal to read Saunders from cover to cover, because I get advices that for you to be able to pass the NCLEX review, you have to finish the Saunders from cover to cover. But just by that, you could already see that there are really a lot of concepts or diseases found in Saunders that most aren't even tackled during college days. You might be able to finish the whole Saunders book, but the question is, have you really understand it? And how can you actually remember all those stuff? That's where review centers would be a great help. Because for the years that they have been teaching, or for the years that they have been reviewing students, they are already aware as to which topics to focus on and what are the usual diseases that will come out in an NCLEX exam. Next is pacing. So if you are doing the self-review, obviously you'll be following your own pacing. And if you're a procrastinator and lazy like me, you will end up consistently keeping up with your schedule or catching up with the days that you've missed. So you'll end up procrastinating in the last week before the day of the exam. But with NCLEX review, all of the concepts have been outlined for you, and you end up no choice but to follow it. Okay, so next question is what to expect in a review class. So in Techno Intellect Review Center, they offer 3 different classes for NCLEX. The first one is the famous Unlimited Regular Classes Review that is good for 1 year. The good thing with Techno is that they really have a consistent daily classes that runs from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. or I guess 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And compared in other review centers, they have a good number of students. The possibility of classes getting canceled because there are only a few students that can attend is negative. So there is really a class every day. So their second one is the NCLEX Intensive Review, which is good for 20 days. If you'll be wondering is how on earth can all the concepts in nursing can actually be squeezed in 20 days, then stop thinking. Because this is the review class that I attended last year, and I swear all of the concepts have actually been covered. The first day would be a pure orientation and assessment. You'll be taking 100 exam tests to gauge as to what strength or weaknesses you have, or to know your capacity for NCLEX. And then for the following days, a daily class would include a pre-test, the lecture part, and the post-test. And then every week there will be a comprehensive test that will usually be in 130 to 180 questions. And then for the second to the last day of the intensive review class, there will be a mock 265 questions. And the last day is a graduation day, which is my favorite because it's the feast day. There will be gathering, there will be, eating, there's lechon and a lot of food, the graduation. And then that was all. It's like the culmination, and I swear that was the only day that we were able to interact with the rest of my classmates, because for the whole duration of the intensive review class, we were really too focused with listening to the teacher and reviewing our notes and answering the pre-test and post-test. And in fact, that was also the only time that we were able to decide to make a Facebook group for our batch. By the way, we are the 3rd batch of the intensive review class. The first one was 100%. All of the students actually passed the NCLEX review. For the second batch, well, they actually have the largest number of students, which was a total of 40. And in our class, we were only around 25. 2 have already taken and 2 passed. And I think I am the next one who will take, and there will be another who will take 2 days after me. So for those seeing this video, please don't forget to include me in your prayers that I may have positivity and that I will make it in my exam day. Okay, back to the topic. The third one is their newest class, which is the Weekend Review class. It will start this weekend. I guess among the 3 types of their classes, I think the Weekend Review is the most convenient way, because you get to have at least a week to prepare for the Weekend Review. Because compared to Intensive Review, which was the review that I enrolled, I swear it's really draining. I mean, an 8 to 5 p.m. class that consists of answering pre and post tests, lecturing. It's really draining and exhausting, and I even came to a point where I almost gave up. Like, I would rather go work on an 8-hour shift rather than sitting in a class for 8 hours. And I swear, for the first few days, we go beyond 5 p.m. and would actually end up at 10-hour review. And so by the time I arrive at home, since I am too exhausted and too tired, I couldn't anymore afford opening a book or a page from my notes to review or to study for next day. So I'll just end up sleeping. So with the weekend review, it's really perfect that you can have the whole week to prepare. And then the last one is what will happen after the review. So during a graduation day, each of us were actually given with this one half crosswise. It states activity after intensive NCLEX review. It consists the different question and answer materials that we need to finish for the couple of duration. So it contains the La Charity, the SATA questions, the Spring House, and the Hogan. So this is probably one of the edge in Techno compared from other review centers, because Techno doesn't leave you hanging. For most review centers, the 20-day or the end of the review would literally be the end of the review. But in Techno, you will still be followed up with a lot of questions and activities after the intensive NCLEX review. So I guess I have already answered all of the questions or all of the typical questions. So that's it. So I hope by this time you are already decided as to which direction to go, if you wanted self-review or you need a review class. So I have already, listed or detailed all of the stuff that you need to know in the Techno Intellect Review Center. So if you're residing anywhere in the Philippines, you know where to go. Don't forget, weekend review classes will start this weekend. If you haven't found yet a review class and you are already longing to start as soon as possible, Techno Intellect Review Center is just here. Details of the review center will be posted at the description. So goodbye and God bless, nurses.